today's workshop, like I said, we're gonna refine the sketch. I'm gonna show you some sculpting techniques for refining the sketch to polish it. I'm gonna also show you what to look for and what to try to achieve in a design. So we're gonna treat the actual concept, the actual sculpt as a composition, and we're gonna try to apply some of the design principles of balance, contrast, unity, hierarchy, all of those into the design itself, as in, the concept of the creature would be a composition. So we're gonna try to balance that out, and it's a lot of fun. And this is not like a switch that you can turn on and off. It's like, okay, I know how to do composition now. It's something that comes with time and experience. So the more things that you do, the more that you can start judging with like informed eyes. Okay, this might be a little bit off. I can just add here and there. But I'm going to try to give you some practical examples of things that you can apply already, and at least keeping those concepts in the back of your head when you're sculpting or when you're designing. That should give you an idea of, okay, I can identify some of the things that Pablo talked about. And it is nothing like groundbreaking or anything new. Like, you can find this information online everywhere. So I'm just going to try to give you the more practical examples in the context of what we're creating here, which is designing or solving a problem based on the chaos. So anyway, let's go ahead and continue. So this is basically the recap of the process, right? So we started with something very, very random, creating chaos, creating a problem for ourselves on the left-hand side. Then we move on into the kind of like distillation process or the refinement process of those forms to create something that it's more recognizable, basically the design process. So that's the one in the middle. So between the one on the left and the one on the middle, that is the workflow. And you can see that obviously the one on the left is just a mess. You can turn it around in different angles and it just doesn't tell you anything, right? The second one already, you can start to see a little bit of that chicken sort of split jaw creature and all of that. And you can start to see some areas or some shapes that suggest anatomy or something that will, as humans, we can sort of like relate to, right? But then once you pass that threshold of, okay, I sort of have an idea, I kind of like refine that mess that I had into something that could potentially work as a design, then you can just start exploring and pushing that shape, that idea a little bit further. And that's when you start grounding the design. That's how you start to think about the, let's say the references that you collect that are nature based or like animals or creatures or not creatures, like insects and that sort of thing. You sort of start to pinpoint certain things that you can apply into the design or how they fit. And that's basically what I have here on the right-hand side. It's a much more refined idea of the solution to the problem. Let's put it that way. So it is still the same thing, but now I have tried to maintain a much more angular shape, something that goes a bit more with the sharp claws or the sharp jaws, same thing as the beak. And I try to maintain that design language, those lines across the design. So the back of the head is not as rounded anymore. It has like this pointy sort of flappy area. I also gave it the horn or this protrusion that I plan to use kind of like a cassowary type of bird. Hopefully you've seen that. It's like the living dinosaur, the massive flyless bird that has like blue and red, and it's an awesome creature to look at. So that's kind of like what I'm trying to do here with that horn. So I'm using those references of things that could exist or that exist actually, and try to permeate my design with those ideas and whatever it works, right? So I might not use, let's say, I don't know, like a deer horn as reference because it doesn't really go with it. So I would go for something like a cassowary, like that bird. I can't remember the name it's like another living fossil that has like a massive beak that looks like a stone. I can't remember the name, but those are the type of things that I would use as reference, or even a rhinoceros or something like that. Yeah, the showbill. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, so that's the type of things that I will be looking for to create this design, right? And that is the process of what I would call the grounding of the design, as in making it more believable, more realistic, so that anyone that looks at this image will pinpoint certain things, or will recognize those visual cues that I'm trying to put in, right? So the best way to test this out or to to validate what I'm saying is if you post this online like as a work in progress, right? Which I did. Some of the comments were like, "Oh, this is like a chicken predator type of thing. Oh, is this the chicken, a chicken gone, nuclear or whatever?" And that is a good thing. I mean, yeah, it looks like a chicken, right? But it's a good thing because that means that this design at this very simple, very basic level of just bunch of shapes put together is conveying that idea of what I'm trying to design. It's like, okay, this is a really weird creature that has the split jaw. So it just sort of like reminds of that predator sort of jaw. It has the beak and, it kind of looks like a chicken. So those are good signs, right? That I'm going in the right direction. If I can make sure that whatever I'm infusing the design with in terms of those visual cues, people are recognizing. Let's go ahead and continue. So like I said, we're going to refine the process. And hopefully you haven't gone ahead and start doing that, because I want to give you some important tips of how to refine the process or how to refine this. That's why I really encourage you not to try to get ahead of yourself, and just get it to a point that you're happy with the blocks, with the pieces before we refine it. So hopefully you don't have anything refined just yet. That is the ideal, and I'll show you how to do that. So a couple of things to keep in mind is this is kind of like the creature that we did or that I created for the demo of the workshop. So this one right here is already those bunch of pieces that we've done. So the next step after what we currently have. So these are the type of things that that we're gonna look into. So all of this is Dynamesh, and after Dynamesh, we're gonna clean this up, right? So this is the polished version of the mesh, or the polished version of the concept before we start adding all those details, right? So that is the three-step workflow. We're going to Dynamesh stuff. I'm going to show you a specific way of doing this, and how to keep track of your resolution and all of that. Then we're going to polish that, and we can do remeshing and projection, all of those sort of steps that sometimes are a little bit complex if you're not sure how to do them. So I'm going to show you a very simple way of doing that. And then we're going to add details with, some brushes. I'm going to show you some of my custom brushes just to speed up the workflow. But those are available as well if you want to follow along. So yeah, this is basically the 3 steps of today's workshop. Couple of things to keep in mind when we add details. Actually, I'll just cover that after when we get to that point, because I was going to talk about the balance and all of that, or the details. But I think we're gonna jump into the practical stuff first on how to get to that point, and then once we start the detailing process, I'll cover some of that.